level up, get set, level up, get set, level up, level up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. Rumour has its show. This management merry-go-round continues. So I'm here to talk about today with this man who's back in the US of A, Lucas. How are you doing, mate? How's it feel to be home? And what you saying?
Feels fantastic. It was a long journey. Saturday, I wasn't able to watch the match at all. I've been trying to watch the replay for the past 2 days, but I've only made it to about halftime. But
yeah,
basically, I know what happened from what people have told me, my trusted sources that have watched the match. But I was really hoping I land in Iceland with a result, and we did. So thankful for that, and hopefully just finish the season out strong, and whatever happens.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know. Listen, the season's fucking dead, isn't it? Let's be real, right? The season's done, right? But we're just going to have to enjoy these last couple of games. But we're going to talk about management appointments and things like that. Mate, I don't know what's going on, but even Milan fans don't want Lopetegui, mate, at the minute. I'm getting literally bombarded by the Italian mafia coming at me and saying to me, we don't want him either. You can fucking keep him. What are you saying in regard to Lopetegui, mate? Because this morning, it was like, it ain't going to happen. And now this afternoon, it looks like it's back on.
Yeah, it's a bit chaotic right now. I feel like not a lot of people really know what's going on. So I think only a few really know what's happening. So I really just don't know. But in terms of Lopetegui, he's just not. It's not inspiring for me, really. It's a bit of a dead appointment, if you ask me, and it's the cheap option, which we all know Sullivan is a huge fan of, and I'm sure we'll get on with some other options and whatnot. But genuinely, I believe if it's between Lopetegui and Moyes, you got to keep Moyes, in my opinion. And I know people want change, but all change is not good change. The grass is not always greener on the other side, and just really, you cannot. I genuinely just don't think when you put them side by side, you can convince me that Lopetegui is a better option.
I disagree on that comment, mate. I've heard it for so many years, and I've been screaming from the fucking rafters for a very, very long time about David Sullivan. Yeah, he ain't going nowhere, mate. This is his guy. And what it is, people have been lied to. Yeah, absolutely been lied to over the last 6 to 9 months, saying we're going to go and get these top end managers. Not under this fucking owner, we're not. But people need to take a step back and start looking upstairs, like I've always said.
And the thing is, as well, we're in such a crap situation because we've offered we basically, and again, this is anyone's opinion, but I don't think Moyes would be the one to really lie. I think he was offered a contract when he talked about it in the press conference forever ago, but there's no reason to accept a 2-3 year extension in December, I think, because I truly think Moyes just didn't know what he wanted, and he still doesn't know what he wants. But the way we've had to go about it and the way Sullivan's handled it, he could leave us up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. And Lopetegui, to me, feels like he's like the ace in the back pocket. He's the ace up the sleeve. When everything goes to crap, he's going to be the one that's going to be appointed. And it's just it's a terrible situation because, like I said, I think the way we've handled it with Moyes and probably some of the stuff he's heard, stuff he's seen from fans towards him, I wouldn't want to come back. So I don't know.
For me, I feel that Mr. Sullivan is keeping his cards close to his chest because he doesn't want to drop a bollock and go for someone. They go to another club, i.e. Lopetegui, and then his back's against the wall. Then this man does not buy no one out of a contract. It's just a fact. He just doesn't fucking do it, right? And for some reason, I must be some dumb prick or something, yeah. Because I always think, you know what, he's going to change. He's going to change, yeah. The issue I have currently right now is what's Steidten saying about this? Because we was all told Steidten's going to be picking the next manager. I can 100% on my life right? On my fucking family's life, Steidten is not picking Lopetegui. That is a Sullivan appointment all day long. He's been all over this for months. The situation with Moyes, yeah, I understand what you're saying with Moyes, because it's like it's better the devil you know, isn't it, than the devil you don't. But Moyes does need to go, Lucas, to a point. Like, I think he's done his time. Like, he's done his time, and I think now is a fresh.
Not for me. I'm not a believer in fresh new starts or changes because there needs to be change. Like, there's only two. Actually, no. No. There's appointments I'd like to see, but I don't think they'd ever happen. Like, would I take Amorim for instead of Moyes? 1,000% I would.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not that dumb, and I'm not that attached. And then Fonseca, for me, I think Fonseca would be a little bit of a risk, but it's a risk that I think I'd be comfortable with taking. But besides that, maybe Hans Flick would be the only other one.
He's the only one that doesn't get mentioned at all. Hasn't been mentioned in any sources.
But in terms of all those of what I just said, you can throw Graham Potter in there as well. You take away Amorim and Fonseca, Lopetegui, Potter, and all the other ones mentioned. Steve Cooper, who I really wish I could put a punt on to be our next manager, but you cannot convince me that changing Moyes to them is a fresh start or fresh change or the grass is greener. There's no shot. I would take Moyes 20 out of 10 times over those three.
Yeah, but the problem is you don't go for a fucking manager who's 57 years old when people have been screaming that David Moyes is a dinosaur, he's a fucking football, and then Sullivan sits there and goes, you know what I'm going to do to West Ham is I'm going to go and appoint an old geezer who's 3 years younger and think it's better. Yeah. One thing I do not understand with this club, and I do not understand it at all, is where is the long-term vision? It's short-term game all the time.
There is none right now,
but why not?
It's
why?
Because Sullivan's still here, and from what we all know, I think Kretinsky, his bit of input in the club was Tim Steidten. He brought Tim Steidten to the club, hopefully to have some fresh ideas or kind of put in some sort of footballing organization to the office. But again, as long as Sullivan's here, we're just going to see the same bit of everything. And obviously, if you're asking me who I would love to pick the manager, I'm picking Tim Steidten every single time. But I just can't see it happening because some of you can tell whose managerial targets are whose. Like Hans Flick,
agree, 100%.
Hoseness or whoever is managing Stuttgart, and then you see the Steve Coopers, the Lopeteguis, the Graham Potters. Like it's not inspiring, and the whole issue is there's not enough ambitious options for us. Like Amorim is an ambitious option, which we tried, and who knows, maybe it still could happen. I do not know, but Fonseca. That's a 50-50 for me. It depends on the day, you ask me. But then everyone else, you literally cannot.
I think there's two.
You can have your opinion and whatnot, but you're never going to convince me that they're a better option than Moyes.
I think there's two options, and that is it. Yeah, I think Fonseca and Lopetegui. I don't see Sullivan buying anyone out of a contract. I really don't. Now, for me. Yeah, West Ham really should go out and get a younger manager, someone who's prepared to that you're prepared to have for the next 5 years, and be that sort of developing club, develop the youth, right? And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to speak for every West Ham fan. I speak for myself, but I would be happy with a year of just transition. Yeah, sort of everything coming into its own. Then the second year attacking it big time. Yeah, the issue is with the Lopetegui sort of shouts. It's a CV thing again. It's the fucking, look what he's managed. Look what he's won. Same as Pellegrini, right? The Fonseca one is the one that I'll be like pushing. I'll be saying, get that geezer here. Yeah. You don't want Lopetegui here because I'll tell you what, we'll go backwards fast. Yeah. I'm telling you, Milan fans, Lucas, right, have been DMing me, retweeting my stuff, and they've called him Lopetegui.
Lopetegui.
Lopetegui, yeah. fucking hell. I'm like, bruv, they don't want him. We don't want him. No one wants him. And somehow Sullivan wants him. It's just, you just can't make that shit up. You really can't. What about Potter, Lucas?
Again, me personally as a football fan, I'm a huge fan of Graham Potter. I like what he offers. I don't mind the football he plays. With me, it was always that the thing that everyone would talk about. Like his football is decent, but the XG he creates and the goals they don't score off the XG is a bit frightening. But again, I feel like Potter would not be a terrible option, but for me, it's a sideways step. But I think Graham Potter would fit. I don't think he suits West Ham, but in terms of working with Tim Steidten, I think they could have a decent relationship because Graham Potter has never been really a manager type. He's always been more of a head coach, and he works with what he's got. And if that's the vision, or if that's the road we want to go down, I feel like it wouldn't be the worst option in the world. But for me, as a West Ham supporter, not a Graham Potter supporter, I think it's a sideways step personally.
I agree with what Snazzy says there. I will take Potter. West Ham fans would hate his style.
That's another thing. The contradictory all over the gaff. Like people's hate for Moyes blinds them so much that they'll say they'll take Potter, they'll take all these other managers without even realizing what kind of style of football they play. Like Graham Potter, I like I said, I like the way he plays football, but people were complaining about Moyes being defensive, playing 5 in the back. Graham Potter plays a 3/5 in the back with wing backs.
Yeah,
possess the ball all match, but don't score. Like last season, I don't care what anyone says. Last season was so dreadful, and thank goodness we won a trophy because people say sitting back is boring. We literally just passed the ball sideways and backwards for an hour with 65% possession and done nothing with it. I think that's boring.
Yeah.
But
I've got a feeling he goes back to Brighton.
He could, but again, I just feel like people just want Moyes gone so bad and they want change so bad that they don't realize what could be coming in.
Yeah. Let me. Mike Bassett, England manager. Mike Bassett, David Moyes, West Ham manager.
I'm sure people would love, like, get Gareth Southgate in over Moyes, and then literally 5 weeks down the line, they'd be like, "What was I thinking?"
Is that a scenario though? Yeah, because I was having to think about it earlier. Do you think they're going to wait till after the Euros to see who comes up after the Euros? See what managers become available?
That would be quite the dangerous game.
Yeah,
and I'd rather us not do that. I was talking to some mates about this as a West Ham supporter. You really wish that there would be some clarity when it comes to Moyes, and you wish that him or Sullivan would just come out and say, "Listen, he's done at the end of the season. It is what it is." But from a personal perspective, like, Moyes has earned the right to decide if he wants to come back or not, whether we like it or not. Like,
this is the thing that I can't work out. I seriously can't work it out, because if you're not prepared to back Moyes and Moyes is not your guy, tell us and just say that we're going to go a separate way.
Like I said, as a supporter, I wish they would do that right now.
Yeah,
but when you think about it, say if it was you at your job. And you had the right, you have the power or ability to decide at the end of your contract or your tenure at said job. Like, you know what? Yeah, I might leave. You know what? I wouldn't mind coming back. Like, as a person, I get that. But as a supporter, I wish the agony would stop, because I want us to, if he does go, I want us to get someone in right away, so we can start recruiting and get everyone playing the style we need to. And if he's not going, then we need to start planning for next season. It's as simple as that.
I got a feeling, that he's gonna. I think Sullivan's gonna offer him a new deal, but I don't think Moyes is gonna accept it. Yeah, if he does accept it, the anarchy in the fan base will reach an all-time high. And I will be like, you know what, this fucking owner is just the reason for it. What I can't work out is why are you wasting all of our time? Why are you wasting the fans' time? Why you waste everyone's fucking time? Do you know what I'm saying? Because it should be a collective, right? You should let Moyes go out as someone who's done a good job at West Ham. Whether you like him or not, he's done a fucking good job, yeah? And he's got us to basically, he never got a standard at West Ham. And then as soon as we get to that standard, yeah, of what we accept now, Sullivan walks in with his fucking Russian hat and goes, "Nah, fuck the standard. I'm gonna go and get whoever I like in." Yeah, and then the standard comes down again.
And the biggest issue, I think, is realistically, whoever comes in, we should accept that it's going to take some time to get used to him and hopefully get back to Europe. But with the way that some people have treated the situation we're in right now, why should we not be expected to hold the standard in which has been set by Moyes? You know what I mean? I think it's weird.
The only way the standard for me changes is if you're going to bring in a manager to develop over the next 5 years. Yeah, going out and getting a Lopetegui, that just says to me that you are trying to maintain where you are. Yeah,
and he would not maintain. I could tell you that right now. No chance.
He's not the fucking guy. Listen, it's coming from me, mate. I've got a bet on Lopetegui, yeah, and I'm on for £2,700, right? And I should be like, get him here. I don't want the geezer here. Literally, do not want the geezer here. But it's the same old stuff every single time. Yeah, it happens every single time. When it comes to something like this now, yeah, Sullivan and Kadinsky, I'm going to say all of them to a point. Even Steidten to a point needs to start putting his foot down. And the fear I do have, Lucas, I swear I do have this fear, is that one day Sullivan's going to undermine Steidten. It's gonna come. I said it the other night on a different platform. Yeah, he's gonna get undermined.
Well, it'll start in a few months when he doesn't hire the guy he wants.
Yeah, and then what it
started in January.
It did start in January to a point. Yeah, so that's gonna come a time where he's gonna get undermined, and then once he starts getting undermined by Sullivan, and it's Sullivan's final say, and no one else can say anything, that's when it becomes a problem. For me, like the Lopetegui thing needs to be cut dead now. Literally cut dead, right? Sullivan needs to come out and he needs to address the whole fan base and say, right, this is what the situation is. Because all we're going to do is keep having the same fucking conversations every night.
This is the point I'm talking about, right? I think it's totally unfair that Moyes has set a standard at this club, right? And people, because they hate him so much and they hate the style of football he plays, the next manager that comes in, they'll give them a grace period. They won't hold the next manager to the standard that has been left with us, which I find wrong personally. Like, and again, it does depend on who comes in. Like, if fucking Steve Cooper comes in, I'm going to think of the worst. Like, let's just hope we don't get relegated. If Lopetegui comes in, we're going to be playing the same boring football. If Graham Potter comes in, we're going to play boring football, just hope we score. If we get Amorim, if that's even a possibility, I don't think that will happen, then, okay, we should be finishing top 6 next season. No, that's not, to me, that's not how it works. Like, you just, again, people are so blinded by hate that they're not thinking rationally or fairly.
Yeah. And
then if they make an argument, you can easily just be like, oh, but didn't you say this 2 or 3 months ago? That doesn't seem right. It's just, it's terrible.
One thing I'm going to say with this comment, from one James to another, he says, James, do you agree that any decent manager should have won that cup with that team? I understand what you're saying, but we did win the cup with David Moyes. Like, it's as simple as that. And that history can't be changed. He was the man who won it. Now, whether you had Joe Bloggs in there, John from Canning Town, or Steve from Custom House, yeah, it doesn't matter. David Moyes was in there and he won the trophy. Now, do I want Moyes to go? I actually do. I want Moyes to go for the sake of the whole fan base, for the sake of everyone's fucking sanity, yeah? But the problem is now people are starting to see through Moyes and see where the real problem is, which I've been screaming at for months. And I've been saying it for months on this platform a hell of a lot, and turning around and saying, Moyes is an employee. You can take him out of the equation, but what are we going to get served up? And when you are getting told you're going to get served up a 5-star meal and you're getting served up fucking McDonald's on tap, it ain't. That doesn't wash for me. Do you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't wash.
And I'll be honest with you, if I ran a poll, and again, knowing how Sullivan is, you take out all the managers that are outside of England, they're free agents. If I ran a poll and it said, who would you rather have? Would you rather keep Moyes, get Steve Cooper, Lopetegui, Graham Potter? Honestly, if the favorite is not Moyes, I don't know what to tell you personally. I just think that's crazy.
And I'll tell you what it is, what irritates me more than anything, is look at Liverpool, for instance. Klopp's gone. They've identified their manager. Yeah, who they want.
Swiftly.
Yeah, swiftly, yeah. Bang. 9.6 million release clause, I think they paid, or compensation. Done. Not even hesitated. What are West Ham doing? West Ham are going after a man who's been out of work for a year, walked out on Wolves because they didn't give him what he wanted. And David Sullivan is sitting there going, you know what? If he goes to Milan, then West Ham are starting to run out of options that are not free agents, so to speak. Now, if you go through the free agent market, Steve Cooper, Graham Potter, Fonseca, out of all the free agents currently right now, Fonseca is the only one really I'd look at and go, yeah, I wouldn't mind him at the club. Maybe he could do some damage. And I spoke to a Villa fan the other day, and they said to me, he said, in the 2 games that they played against them, he looks like a manager who knows how to sort of coach the best out of his players. Now, Fonseca would be the guy, yeah. But the problem is, you are putting like two managers. I'm saying there, Lopetegui and fucking Fonseca.
And again, at that point, if it's between Fonseca and Lopetegui, I will take the risk on Fonseca. From what I've seen. From what I've seen, I would take the risk because Lopetegui seriously has nothing inspiring about him at all. He's again, people that are screaming for Lopetegui and get Moyes out, I can't see it. He is just as dreadful as Moyes in their opinion. To me, I don't think Moyes is dreadful personally, but it is what it is.
I think Moyes has done his time, mate. And for me, I think, like, I know you don't like to say that, but I do. I look at it and I think with the whole fan base and everything, I think West Ham need a freshener. West Ham need to go to another sort of level now. Yeah, I think Moyes has took us to the standard where we're at, and the standard is right now top 10. Yeah. So if we do get a manager come in,
is that I would argue top 10's the standard, not from what I'm saying. I'm seeing people are saying we're a top 6 club. Yeah, we spent 500 million Great British pound when that's not the case at all. That's factually not correct.
I agree with you on this. That's one thing I will agree with you on. When people keep saying that West Ham are this top 6 side, says who, mate?
We're 10th. We are. I think it was 9th or 10th in net spend, and look where we are. We're exactly where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
From the numbers and the stats and whatnot, but again, like people are just moving the goalpost. They're just moving the goalpost, and I don't agree with that. People are saying all this different kind of crap.
Do you think?
Don't get it.
I'm going to ask you something. Do you think people are looking at it right now and reality setting in regards of getting Moyes out? And when you are being sort of served up managers of higher class, Slot, Almiron, Alonso, just name them 3, for example. Do you think people have looked at it now and basically what they was expecting isn't what they're going to be served up to a point?
Exactly that. That. And that has been the same recipe, the same dish for as long as we can think of. And again, I mean, we can only sit back and laugh. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. And at the end of the day, you just have to get behind the boys, get behind whoever the manager is, and just hope for the best, pray for the positives. And even if Lopetegui did come to West Ham, I wouldn't like it. I would hate it, in fact, because I just find him so negative and so just static. I would still get behind him. I would still hope for him to succeed. But
What you what you
I
think of that,
know
man?
I know nothing about him, but I know Stuttgart will be playing Champions League football next season, I believe. And I mean, it'll be
That-
hard. It'll be hard to get him because they'll probably want to stay and play Champions League or manage Champions League football with them.
True, isn't it? It is true. Like, why would he leave them to come to us? And if we've got no Europe, I know it's the Premier League and all that, but yeah. For me, he just doesn't buy no one out of a contract, mate. And it's simple as that. Like, if you can go and find where he's bought someone out of a contract and brought them to a club, I'd love to find out. But I've spoke to Birmingham fans, I've spoke to loads of people, and they've all said the same thing to me. This geezer does not buy anyone out of a contract. That's why the free agent market is hot in a minute. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if someone like Ralph Hasenhüttl ends up at West Ham. Someone like that. It's just going to be someone shit, mate.
I would rather have him than Lopetegui. That's how low I think of Lopetegui.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather have Jesse Marsh than Lopetegui.
Another one who's out of work, isn't it? What happens, Lucas, in this situation, though, all right, that if Moyes does get offered a contract, he does stay, then what happens then?
If Moyes gets offered and he stays,
Yeah.
I'm going to have the funniest week, maybe month, on Twitter of my life. It's going to be absolute carnage. And again, I sympathize with how certain people feel, and like I get it to a point that like, oh, but it's making the supporters upset. Like, it's football. Football is a results-based business, and whoever the manager is, again, Lopetegui could do exactly what Moyes does, but if Lopetegui's getting the results and he gets us Europe, I don't care what other people think.
Mm.
We're succeeding, and we've succeeded under Moyes. So, but to answer your question, if Moyes gets offered a new deal and he does accept, it will be absolute carnage. And you can hear it from me first. I don't consider myself a troll at all, but I'll have to reach in the back pocket and flip the switch on. Some people will be getting it.
I'm going to be honest. If he ends up signing, if he ends up getting off, I think he gets offered a new deal. Yeah, and it's going to be on certain terms, right? If he ends up signing for West Ham, then Sullivan's just played all the fan base for a bunch of mugs.
And I do agree with you to a point. If Moyes does get a new deal and he does accept it, he will most likely and probably have a bit less power than he did before. But again, I've always said it for Tom. I don't think Tim Steidten's a mug by any means, but I think people have definitely overhyped him. Just like anything else that happens at a football club, a player, a manager, whoever. I think he's been overhyped a bit. But I think him and Moyes could be a great tandem. And I think it's showed before. Like, Moyes was able to get certain players that he wanted. Tim Steidten brought in certain players that he thought would be good for the club. And really, it didn't turn out that bad. I think you can always work with someone else. And again, it was people were saying that they hated each other, which is an absolute lie. And if they hated each other, they wouldn't go to football matches together, which has happened. So I don't think they hate each other at all. A bunch of bullshit, if you ask me.
The only thing I will say is that if it does end up being like that, I don't think I'll be on Twitter anymore. I really don't. I think I'll just come off it because it'd be carnage. It'd be complete carnage. And the reason why I don't like to make this all about Sullivan, yeah, but you could have ended this last year. You could have really ended this last year, yeah.
And I think, and everyone, I could say most people agree, even me, as much as I respect Moyes, appreciate everything Moyes has done for me, or done for us. Sorry, it got personal right there. But if we wanted a fresh new change, it should have happened then, because you're going off the back of winning a trophy. You don't really expect anything to top that feeling or that expectation. So that would have been the perfect time to start your rebuild or your new phase, if you will. But now that Moyes has done what he's done this season, I think we will still finish top 10. I don't know exactly where we're going to finish. For all we know, West Ham could surprise us and get results the rest of the season out, and whatever happens, happens. But now everyone puts this expectation on us. And again, like you said, if we did want to rebuild and we did want to start fresh, it should have happened after when we were at our highest high. And then if we were to have finished mid-table, 12th, 13th under a new manager, that would be acceptable. We'd get it. But no.
I'm going to say this with his comment. Yeah, if left to Tim, what about someone left field unheard of? For me, that's all well and good. But as I've always said, Sullivan has the final say. And if he doesn't feel comfortable in a manager, he would rather go with someone who's tried and tested rather than someone who's unproven. Do you know what I mean? Like, he does it all the time. Avram Grant, Big Sam,
which I think is fair, but it's the options. It's the options. I'm totally for the tried and tested approach, but it all depends on the options.
I don't know, Lucas, because if you would have asked Arsenal fans like about Arteta when he come in, everyone thought, what is going on here? And listen, for how much I don't like Arsenal to a point, yeah, you can't discredit what they have done over with the same amount of time as Moyes has been at West Ham. You know what I mean? Moyes come 2020, January the 1st, I think it was, and that was his first game. And obviously Arteta come a little bit earlier than that. Now, when you look at it, what he's done over them amount of years, right? I think West Ham fans would come into a sort of understanding if you're going to get a younger manager in who's you're building for long term. But it's just the same old shit. It's like short term gain for long term sort of.
Yeah.
What is the future? Like, if you can't even tell us, if you can't even tell the fans that Moyes is leaving. But the reason why Sullivan won't tell the fans that Moyes is leaving, because he still wants him here to a point, right? He's like, if I can't get a Almiron, a Lopetegui, a Fonseca, yeah, Moyes is the backup plan. You know what I mean? I would take him. 100%.
I would as well.
100%. Proven winner.
I'll tell you right now for everyone that's listening, this is who I would take, and I'm gonna try and keep it somewhat realistic, because like me personally, when we got linked with Jose Mourinho, I would love Jose Mourinho here, but it would never happen. I would take Fonseca. I would take Almiron. And then Hans Flick, probably. Those would be my three. And Graham Potter, for me, again, it teeters on my personal fandom of him and supporting West Ham. Again, if you ask me on a certain day, I might have a different answer. But those four are actually, there's only two of them that I think that could be that are forward steps: Almiron and possibly Fonseca. Hans Flick, I don't know, because he's more of an international manager, and that's a complete different brand of football. So who knows if that would work? And then Graham Potter for me is a sideways step.
Yeah, I think that's an uplifting appointment, Hans Flick. If you want me to be honest, if you want someone to galvanise the fan base, because after the Moyes situation currently right now, the next manager's going to have to uplift the whole fan base, so everyone comes together and goes, we're all pushing in the same direction. Hans Flick would be a really good appointment. It would show ambition. It would show that someone who's a winner to a point. I see what people say about Jose Mourinho. The only problem with Jose Mourinho is everywhere he goes, he stays for a couple of years, it all goes to shit. Do you know what I'm saying? So do you really want him? Fonseca, I agree with. Potter, I'm not convinced on. I'm seriously damn not. I think Potter is a mid-table-ish manager. I think Chelsea knew that. That's why they got rid of him. And there's also young managers out there. Like Kieran McKenna, who I mentioned the other day, is someone that does seriously need to be looked at. Like he's doing very, very well at Ipswich on a low budget. People are raving highly about him, and I think, like, would you take someone of that sort of stature?
I'm never a huge fan of that, and like, I don't think he'd come to us because if you get promoted with a club, especially into the Premier League, you want to see that out. You want to see if you've got the minerals to keep them up. But I've never really been a huge fan of those type of appointments personally.
What do you think of that comment there about Will Steele? Right,
I'll be honest.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
If he's not a West Ham fan, would you have him at West Ham?
No. And I don't think he'd ever be mentioned with the job.
Yeah, I agree with you on this.
And I'm not. That's not trying to discredit him as a manager, because I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's Premier League quality. And that I could say the same with Fonseca. I don't think he's me personally. I don't think he's Premier League quality. Almiron could be in the conversation as well, but you'll never know until they get the chance to prove it. So,
see, Cockney Boy 76, gents, what do you think the transfer budget is this summer, including a sale of Paqueta? It's got to be 200 million plus. It has to be, mate. Simply has to be 200 million. When you go through our side, we need a complete, utter
yeah. It all depends
revamp.
on who's leaving, who we're bringing back, if Paqueta stays or goes. If I had to tell you right now, I think Paqueta does stay, because the past 2 months, I don't see why Pep would want to sign him up for even £50 million personally. But yeah, it really does depend. Like Cresswell might be going, Ogbonna could be going, Agard and Zuma could be going if interest from like Saudi comes. And
Quick question.
We will need to spend a lot.
Quick question. Zuma's in his final year of his contract. Do you offer him a new one, or do you try and sell him?
I love Kurt Zuma. I really do. It all depends on his knees, because even though, again, and it's so weird. Don't get me wrong. It always looks like he's limping. He's playing on one leg, but he's still playing. He's still got the pace. He's still got it, but it's awkward looking. You know what I mean? So as long as his knee is healthy and it holds out, I think he would be a decent shout to get an extension, because he's our current captain. I don't know if he'll be next season, but he knows the club well. We've stuck with him through thick and thin, and I think he could have the potential to be another Ogbonna type in the dressing room, because I do like Kurt Zuma. I don't think he's on the pitch. I don't think he's the greatest of captains, but I definitely think in the dressing room he's a great guy to have around. So I think we could, but would I? Again, I'm not entirely sure.
I'll be selling him this summer, mate. I really would.
It depends on the offer. Like if Saudi Arabia comes in for Kurt Zuma for like £30 million, yeah, I'd probably sell him. But if someone comes in for like £15 million, is that really worth it, in my opinion? I don't know. Me personally,
I know what you're saying. I know you're saying the value of the player doesn't match if you sell him. Like if you're going to go and try and buy someone, you have to pay a lot more than that.
If we sell someone like that for £15 million, I personally wouldn't be a fan for reasons I just said. I think he's a great guy to have in the dressing room. I think he's been an integral part of the club for the past seasons. So
yeah,
I don't know. It depends on the number. Money always talks. We all know that.
Yeah. Another question. What position would you target and potential names? Well, for me, it has to be a centre forward. West Ham need a centre forward at this club. Someone who's actually a centre forward, not a winger, converted, not a right back that's going to decide to start playing up front. We need a player who is going to be our striker for the next 4 to 5 years. Now, for me, that has to be either Solanke, Tony, or someone else out there in the world. You know what I mean? If Fonseca comes, don't be surprised if Jonathan David ends up coming with him. That wouldn't be a bad shout. What are you saying, Lucas, on that?
There's just so many positions of need.
Yeah.
I always feel like striker is the most necessary thing to go to, but Jared Bowen has proved that he can play up top this year, even though that's not my preferred position. I feel like we've worked around that pretty well, but there's so many positions of need. There really is. We need a left-sided player badly. badly, badly, badly. We need a reliable quality center half. But yeah, striker, you know us. Striker's always been glaring for us because of inconsistencies, injuries, and sometimes quality. But it's a difficult one for me. I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know with it really because there's so much that needs to be done, and this is the thing that I seriously just cannot really get my head around. I really can't in regards to the management and everything. Is that there is literally no fucking idea who the manager's going to be. So how can we plan for the next manager if we don't know who the next manager's going to be?
Exactly.
Do you get what I'm saying? It just baffles the life out of me. Like it's like having a business and then you don't know where your business is going to be in 3 months. Do you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't do it. You'd be planning mega ahead. Like you'd be planning a year in advance, as good as to say, right, this is what you want to aim for. This is what we're going to do. For me, I'm worried about this summer, mate. I really am. Right, for 2 reasons. The first reason is the manager front. Yeah, I do think Moyes needs to go. Yeah, I think that is a given, right? For me, I think he needs to go. I think there's no more he can do. Yeah, I think he's lost 65% of the fan base, right? I think the new manager has to come in of quality. It has to be someone who you can either look at and be inspired by, and not someone who's a fucking cheap signing. If it's Lopetegui, then I'm going to be disgusted with this ownership. I really am. Yeah, they should be thrown out like fucking dogs, mate.
What about
100%.
Steve Cooper?
If it's Steve Cooper, it's the same old shit. Yeah,
we're gonna have to cancel the season, but the memes are gonna be so good.
Mate, if it ends up being him,
would you be more mad at Steve Cooper or Lopetegui?
Fuck you know.
I think I'd be more upset with Lopetegui personally.
I think the only thing that goes with Steve Cooper is he did do a good job with the under-21s.
And I do think Steve Cooper would be. And again, for everyone watching, I don't want either of them anywhere near my club. But I feel like at least with Steve Cooper compared to Lopetegui, I think players actually quite like him a lot, and they can get behind him. And he does play a pretty open brand of football. So,
shout out to Gemma.
But we should be the whole Amorim thing. It's unfortunate the way that's unfolded and what occurred, and I think we should be with Moyes potentially still being in our back pocket if he wants to come back. We should be going for inspiring candidates.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, everyone has their opinions on whoever, but if you're telling me the fresh new start, the fresh new change is going from David Moyes to Julian Lopetegui, you must be fun at parties.
I'm going to be honest. I agree. Right. Just to, I was going to say this before we round it up. Do you worry about Steidten in this situation, mate? Honestly,
I'll be honest with you. I don't really care too much for Tim Steidten. I don't really have a opinion on him. To me, if you're an employee under David Sullivan, you're just there. I think, in my opinion, like there's not a lot you can do. Even Mark Noble. Mark Noble, he's been working with the academy a lot because he has influence there. He has a bit of power there. Like I said, he has big influence. But in terms of at West Ham United with the senior team, with the U23s, U21s, transfers, I feel like there's not a lot he can do under David Sullivan because, like we all know, at the end of the day, David Sullivan makes the calls. He signs the checks. So the way I look at Tim Stein, I just look at him as he's just there. He has upside. I'll give him that. But, like, I really don't know because he doesn't have that much power.
I don't know. For me, I think Steidten could be an absolute gem of a person to have at the club.
Be, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think what he's done this year, let's be honest, it's one transfer window that he's had. Yeah, because he got undermined by Sullivan yet again when he wanted Osmond. Yeah. I am concerned about this. I'm not going to lie. I really am. Yeah, this is the one thing that does worry me above anything else, right? Is that there's going to come a time, as I said earlier, right, where Sullivan's going to start undermining this geezer. And this geezer knows his worth, and he knows he can probably go somewhere else and get another job. Do you know what I'm saying?
Cool if he wanted.
Yeah, like, you know. So for me, this summer is going to be absolutely mental. Yeah, I'm going to dread it because it's going to be links, rumours, players, fucking everything. But one thing with that never changes is the ownership of this club, and I've always said that it needs to change. And like someone said to me earlier on Twitter, they said, James, are you surprised? And I went, listen, sometimes I'm a sort of person that goes, I live in hope more than expectation, and you know, it's just Sullivan, isn't it? It's just the way he is. Anything else you want to add, Lucas, before we wrap this up, son?
No, feels good to be home. Just hoping West Ham can finish the season strong, and may the cards fall where they may.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. It was good to see you, mate, the other day when you was over. You had a good little journey back to the US of A. You see, Liverpool, you missed a classic game, a 2-2 classic. But you know, before we go, what are you saying about Chelsea coming up this Sunday?
We should be looking to, in my opinion, no Enzo Fernandez the rest of the season. We should be looking to beat them, in my opinion. We should be able to get 3 points, but it is a London derby. Anything can happen. So as long as we don't lose, that'll be nice. But again, Chelsea, they're such a weird side. They're literally being carried by Cole Palmer, who I think is absolutely exceptional, and another player that a certain manager at West Ham really wanted, and it didn't go through. By the way, I just have to say this: Moyes' talent ID. Unbelievable. All the players he wanted, they turn out to have a good season or whatever. But that's besides the point. Chelsea just being absolutely carried by Cole Palmer. If we just man mark him the whole match, I think we should be able to get something. Just put Alvarez on him or something, and hopefully we can do something. But I'm hopeful for Chelsea. I think we can definitely beat them. But again, like I said, London derby, you just do not know what's going to happen.
One thing I'm going to say is we need to get revenge on these people at Stamford Bridge.
Yes, 1,000%.
Last season, it was last season, because I'm just sitting here thinking about it. When Bowen goes over and they we score, it's 2-2, and they pull it back for VAR. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That can't happen again this year, mate. Trust me. It can't, because we actually played all right in that game. Antonio scored, and then obviously we fell apart towards the back end, and then the big VAR decision. That was when Maxwell Cornet scored the goal that never was, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? And we all celebrated, and they pulled it fucking back. But that's one of the worst VAR decisions ever in the history of VAR. I'm going to say that. Right, I'm going to wrap this up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, Lucas, having you on. I'm just going to say this. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to Each One His Own TV. Before I go, I want to sort of make this sort of clear to everyone that we just need to all come together now for the last few games. Yeah, get this season done. And then it's over to the man at the top of the mountain, Mr. Sullivan, yeah? Is he going to give us what we want and a high-end manager, like a Hans Flick, for instance, or an Almarin? Or is he going to give us the car boot version of fucking Lopetegui or Steve Cooper? Who knows? But listen, whatever happens, we'll all be there.
Please, God, anyone but Lopetegui and Steve Cooper, I beg. Anyone but them.
Yeah, if it is them, mate, I fear the worst. Take care. Peace.